Michael Saylor also said and exposed XRP's future.
Families.
So yeah, Michael Saylor has actually been talking about, the crypto market in general, not just Bitcoin. He did mention XRP indirectly a few times. So I want to see what he actually says. And he has some surprising comments.
Every person on earth should adopt the Bitcoin standard. That's 8 billion people. Every company on earth should adopt the Bitcoin standard. That's 400 million companies. Is there anything?
Again, companies. He mentions companies. Now, he does mention Bitcoin because the main thing he's selling is Bitcoin. But it's very clear what happens if Bitcoin goes up. Usually, crypto markets explode and XRP follows. And a lot of these companies that will be buying the main top 3 cryptos, that will be XRP, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. That's my personal belief, not financial advice.
I can do this better than that. Well, there are a lot of other twists to it. If all of these companies are competing to do something, the issue is what's the something? And it depends on the company. So I think we're very early. I mean, not even 0.1% of companies are doing this, right? If you're a private company and you're raising $10 million in order to fund operating losses, you could just raise 50 million and buy 40 million of Bitcoin and fund 10 million in operating losses. And I would definitely recommend that. That's better, right?
This is important. Institutional adoption of XRP is currently happening faster than that of Bitcoin. And this is primarily due to XRP's specific utility and financial infrastructure. We know that XRP's design is to focus on enabling fast and low cost.
That's why a lot of people call XRP institution coin, because people got mad. The Bitcoin community got mad like a few years ago. Well, it was many moons ago, 6 years, that XRP was working with the banks. And now it's pretty clear that the government wants to regulate crypto fully and tax it. And a lot of these institutions, they will go where they feel safe. And if they don't feel safe with Bitcoin, if they don't feel safe with other coins, they will go to XRP.
Cross-border transactions on a global scale. XRP's main objective is to get integrated into the banking system and also get integrated into companies. They're going to need a system that's going to allow them to send wire transfers all around globally instantly. Right now, the current platform that they're using is Swift. So Bitcoin's institutional adoption is actually happening slower than XRP.
If you're launching a company, a Bitcoin treasury company in Japan, your odds are higher than if you're launching that same company in Venezuela. What's the alternative? You're holding Egyptian pounds in your treasury. So every single Egyptian company that adopts the Bitcoin standard will be more successful than if it didn't, right?
Okay. That's because Bitcoin went up so much. Bitcoin went up while the dollar was going down. This is where I am, excited to see, can XRP do another 100%? Again, a lot of these companies and whales are buying.
Okay, so what does a company rely on? A company relies on revenue, instant cash flow. So in terms of what Michael Saylor is saying, Bitcoin is used as a store of value. Companies are not going to use Bitcoin in terms of transfers globally because it simply takes too long. It takes upward of an hour to send a transaction globally using Bitcoin. And
I fully agree with that. I feel like most of these big companies are looking for banks to finally start using XRP to see how it works, and then they will go, forward with it. Then they will start using XRP themselves.
that's why XRP is getting institutional adoption, because it's fast. It makes sense. It allows for companies and banks to scale their revenue. That is the whole purpose of XRP. How are you going to scale a company's revenue with Bitcoin when it's so slow?
If you're the first company in Japan...
The thing with XRP and the difference between Bitcoin is always going to be like stored and never used. But XRP, they're going to use for the bank transfers and to save money. That's going to be the main thing of XRP. It's actually going to have utility. Maybe they will hold a lot of Bitcoin, but they will use XRP to transfer all of that.
Adopt the Bitcoin standard and you grow rapidly and you generate a lot of capital, then not only do you have the most compelling BTC-backed equity in the Japanese capital market, you can have the most compelling BTC credit instruments. Well, there's trillions of dollars in Japan, right? So how many companies in Japan can do that? Well, not every company can be the Amazon of capital markets in Japan, but at least one can be.
Big banks and companies in Japan are embracing XRP, not Bitcoin, for global payments. We can see over here 80% of Japanese banks set to embrace XRP for global payments by 2025. So
It's not just Japanese banks. I feel like it's also Korean banks. You know, there's going to be banks in developing countries, especially where people really do make money from setting out.
industry leaders, such as the CEO of CBI Group, are strongly backing XRP and its potential to streamline cross-border transactions. And you guys might be wondering, what is the market cap of SBI? Their market cap is 91 billion. So the CEO of SBI stated, real demand for XRP is key to its long-term success, emphasizing and contrasting it with Bitcoin, which he believes lacks inherent value. And this leaves the question, what is Bitcoin's use case in terms of institutional adoption?
If I give you a company making 100 million a year and they adopt Bitcoin and they start buying 100 million worth of Bitcoin, they'll be 10x better. If they borrow a billion, they'll be 100x better. If they manage to launch in a 2 market, they'll be 1,000x better. If they screw it up, they won't. Would you invest $500 million of Bitcoin into a company losing 100 million a year that intended to keep losing it? Probably not, right? The Bitcoin treasury company movement is traditional companies trading in the public markets that have adopted the Bitcoin standard. It's not crypto companies.
Okay, so Michael Saylor is not saying it directly, but these companies are buying Bitcoin as a store of value.
And they're going to be using, like, nobody's using the XRP ledger right now, guys, because it's at development stages and they don't want to risk the money of losing everything.
2020.
Well, Ripple spot ETF was just delayed. That's what I also heard. I'll keep you guys updated on that as well.
5, a significant use case for Bitcoin among companies is its integration into corporate treasury reserves. And for why? As a strategic asset for long-term value preservation and inflation hedging. So companies are adopting Bitcoin to hedge against the devaluation of fiat currencies, specifically the dollar. Now let me explain.
I mean, it's gonna be in other countries, didn't like some currencies fall down like 400%. The dollar is looking pretty good. If the currency falls like 300, 400% is when the companies, you know, who could have invested that money into Bitcoin as soon as they got the money, they would have been up like 200%, 300%. So yeah, you do the math, like 300% down or 300% up. So I feel it's a pretty clear idea why the institutional wave is rising, in my opinion.
To you why XRP has a better use case in terms of getting integrated into companies. Consistent revenue is vital for a company's long-term success and sustainability. It serves as a primary indicator of financial health and stability, signaling to investors and stakeholders that the business is capable of generating reliable income over time. So XRP's use case is to expedite global transfers due to its instant payment system. Right now, a lot of companies are using the Swift platform, which is heavy in fees and is also very slow. It takes up to 5 days to send over a transfer globally. Companies will be able to scale their revenue by using the XRP ledger. Okay, so what companies have adopted XRP? We see American Express, Bank of America, both of which are banks. We have MoneyTap, Santander, Western.
So this is what I'm trying to show you guys. Look at here. Adopts Ripple for international payments. Ripple helps more access financial services, access Ripple's prospects. So Ripple is offering all of these banks different services. It's not like all of them will use the XRP ledger. Some of them might, but some of them just want their technology that because they can't get it anywhere else.
Union, Bank of Thailand. We also have Amazon Web Services. So why are they adopting XRP? Rapid transaction speed, affordability, efficiency, scalability, and cross-border payment solutions. But the name of the game is on-demand liquidity. XRP bridges fiat currencies to enable faster and cost-effective transactions. Bitcoin is not capable of doing this. It is simply too slow. If you have 1,000 transactions that are happening within a day and it takes upward of an hour to send over a global transfer on Bitcoin, it's going to be very difficult for company A to scale in value. So Michael Saylor is unknowingly promoting XRP's use case. And it's going to take time before XRP is globally adopted, but it's happening very fast. So although XRP is currently sitting at $3 today, it will not surprise me by the end of the year if XRP is trading at $10. And I think XRP is...
I think $10 is going to be hard, but, you know, by the year end. But $7, 100%. 100% growth, you know, from its all-time high, a bit more than that. $6, $5, like $5 and $6 are a pretty good start in my opinion. Like pushing to $10 is going to be way harder because that means it's closing to where Bitcoin is right now. And we already had a huge growth this year. So just consider your expectations realistic.
It's going to reach $10 by early next year. If we look at the Bitcoin cycle repeat chart, essentially it's a graph of Bitcoin combined with an analysis of all previous trajectories from the past, and it gives you a prediction of where Bitcoin is headed. So currently we are at a market top, and Bitcoin is expected to reach around 160K before dropping a lot all the way down to 90K. So this is all a prediction. But in this area, when Bitcoin drops, what I expect to happen is everyone's going to take their money out of Bitcoin and they're going to start to invest into altcoins that have an actual use case. So XRP has laid down the fundamentals. They are getting adopted globally. And we also had that SEC case get dropped. So nothing is holding back XRP. So a storm is coming and Michael Saylor just signaled it. Also, make sure that you guys join BTCC to earn free XRP. So if you deposit $500 or more, they will match you. So if you deposit $500, they'll give you $50 in USDT that you can convert into XRP. So
yeah, pretty clear idea of what's happening with crypto right now is we are still in very early stages because we still have the ETF, but we also had, cycles where we went up from 50 cents to $3. So keep that in mind, guys.